Real estate and financial guides are back on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, to share with you what you need to know in order to navigate the sometimes confusing markets and guide you toward financial wellness. Reach out to them for advice at 855-DON-GINO. And now back to your hosts, Don Getling and Gino Franti.
Well, we're going to have to back that nice lady up and say, yes, please reach out to us. We have some great experts like Neal Weichel with us to help guide you to personal financial wellness, give you the real insights of what's happening, because we are connected with the very best professionals you can find in all of Santa Cruz, whether it's real estate professionals, CPAs, financial planners, estate planners, you name it, we have it. So one advantage of having our radio show now for 2.5 years is we've been able to interview some of the best of the best. And Neal Weichel is proven to be that again today. Thank you, Neal, for such great insight today.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. It's always good to be with you.
And we want to make sure you pay attention because we're about to close the vault, per se. And Neal, I wanted to touch on, you very articulately told us the biggest thing that's going to help us in 2014 is educating our move-up buyers, letting them know that this is the time to make the move due to the appreciation in their home and the opportunities for them to get the larger home.
Correct, and the great interest, the cost of money still being so reasonable and so affordable. And I think the better job we do with that, the better 2014 will be. If we don't see that buyer come back, and by the way, that buyer, there's a lot of pent-up demand there. That buyer's been waiting for, in some cases, 10 years. In some cases, it's less. But the buyer that bought just 2-3 years ago, to Gino's point, even if they don't think they're quite needing, well, we're not going to have that second child or third child yet, we're not quite needing the larger home, it's still the time. And the reason why is because the prices are still so good and you lock in that cheap money, that good interest rate.
Yeah, if interest rates go up, I mean, it's just amazing.
Changes everything.
It does. I mean, it changes your affordability. As you mentioned, it's
right.
all about affordability.
It's all about affordability.
It's huge.
Well, that's one thing I want to touch on real quick, because the best person that can move up is someone who got an FHA loan a couple of years ago.
Sure.
Because now they have equity. Now they could potentially have 20% down to buy something. So now they're going to eliminate their mortgage insurance, and they're going to be able to move up. Their payments should stay just about the same.
I've done it, and you're right.
Well, even if they don't have quite 20%, we can still eliminate mortgage insurance with as little as 10% down, 5% down. There's ways to do it. And like you said, it's all about affordability. But that's an important thing, Neal. Being educated enough to give them advice in that direction, not just here's a home, here's a loan. There's so much to the proper planning of each person's particular scenario that can help them make those decisions. And you do that by knowing the market, meaning what they can sell their home for, what they should buy a home for, because you know where the market's going. If you're just going off of the euphoria 2013, you're telling your seller that, yep, you're going to have 20 offers for 10% above your asking price, then you're setting them up for potential failure.
I don't think there's any question. I had two pricing strategies back in the spring. One was to price it a little high and wait for the market to hit us. The other was to price it right where the market was and generate multiple offers. And I put this in writing. I let everybody know this is the strategy, and it worked beautifully. That strategy doesn't work in November 2013 for a more expensive home. If you've got an $800,000 home and you're going to price it a little high waiting for the market to come up, it could be a long wait and it may never happen. Nobody knows. We'll find out next year. So you really have to understand, like I've referenced before, the holes in the market. Where is there a lack of competition? Hey, if there's nothing you compete against, great, let's go to work. Let's see what's possible. But if there are other homes and they're sitting, let's pay attention.
Okay, good point. All right, Neal, to close out, I'd love for you to share, because this is important for you to listen to, because how a team works together can determine how successful you are either buying or selling a home. And you have an incredible team. I mean, you have a huge group of people, as we do, and I've learned in 26 years, without my team here, and I brag about them a lot. You hear me out there all the time bragging about my great team. It starts with Gino, of course. You have a great team behind you, and you guys have been very successful, and you say you're busier than ever. Explain why you feel you're so successful helping buyers and sellers out today with your team.
Well, it's a question you've never asked me, so I guess I'll brag on them for a bit. So here's the thing. In real estate, it's become such a fast-paced business with so much change and so much information that we have to go out and get. In the old days, 20 years ago when I started, you rarely had more than, like, say, one assistant. Well, these days, between everything that's involved in a real estate transaction, I really believe you need a full-time person just to handle escrows. And I have that. And she was trained by me, and she's marvelous. And Lindsay is she's there taking care of clients right now while we're talking here. When you talk about marketing property and all the different, stuff that's available online to market property and proper photography and tracking and analytics and all this, that's really a full-time job. When you talk about marketing real estate, it's a full-time job for somebody who understands all that. I'm not really good at it, but Chad, who's my listing coordinator, is great at it. Okay, then you talk about the client needs, just for, somebody to drop something by or update flyers, or I need somebody to do something for me or meet me at the house or let the appraiser in or whatever. I have a full-time field person. Okay, now people say this big team. There's 5 people that work with me. Okay, they're all licensed, they're all trained by me, but all of them put the customer first. All of them will do anything to make sure the customer is happy, because that's our mission. And then I, of course, have 2 buyer's agents that help me show property, because let's face it, showing property, if a home came up today at 3 o'clock and I had a buyer looking for it, we need to get them in it at 4 o'clock. Okay, especially if it's a hot property. Well, I'm here. I'm not going to be able to show it. So Lauren would be showing that property. In fact, she's showing property as we speak. So when you talk about a great team, a team is only as good as they're trained. It's only as good as their service attitude. How committed are they to the client? And, candidly, I have the best team that I've ever had in my real estate career right now. They're just fantastic.
Kudos to you. And they have a great leader, and that's where it starts. And you do a great job with giving them at-bats and opportunity with your experience. And you... I know I'm really proud of the fact that how much of your business is repeat buyers.
Yeah,
and sellers. I mean,
well, it's everything. I mean, in this business, you hopefully we live in a very big small town. Okay, I've said that before, right? We live in a town of 200,000 people, where literally you don't go anywhere where you don't know somebody, and that's nice. I like that about Santa Clarita. And the reality is in the real estate world, if you're not honest, if you don't tell the truth, if you don't show up on time, if you don't treat your fellow agents with respect, if you don't conduct yourself with integrity, you're not going to get repeat and referral business. There are some top agents in this valley that candidly don't treat the other agents with respect. I don't understand that. Okay, they are salespeople for my listings. I want them to be excited to work with me, happy to work with me. So when you talk about a team, everybody on my team, you call my office, you get a phone call returned every time, always. It's just the way it is. Now, it's not always easy to do when you get a lot of phone calls, but we always do it. Why? Because that's our job. So, I could go on and on about this. I didn't know you were going to ask me this question, but,
it's important.
But service is everything in this kind of a market. Well, and the public knows the difference.
It's imperative the way you set up your team, because the other piece of the pie, and why I was bringing this up, is how you've been able to be successful. Not just, you doing 100-hour work weeks, is you have a great team. And it also allows your team to focus on what they're really good at.
Right, they specialize.
And they're not actually distracted by trying to multitask.
No. My job is to help people list and sell property. That's what I'm best at. I can show property to buyers, and I'm pretty good at it, but I'm not as good as Jen is. I'm not as good as Lauren is, because that's all they do, and they're great at it, and they're way more patient than I am, and that's what a buyer needs sometimes. When you talk about the internet and how it's changed our industry, Chad's a genius at that. Okay, I know how to send email well enough. I can send you a link. Okay, but beyond that, really studying what's working and what the consumer's looking. I'm not good at that. So he is. So great. I don't profess to be great at everything. I'm pretty good at what's happening out there and engaging it. I'd like to think I'm good with people. People trust me because I'm trustworthy. I respect the other agents. I care for them. I put them, front and center, and they know that. So I mean, this is all our business, right? A lot of times we don't do as good a job as we should. And if we do as good a job as we should next year is going to be a good year. If we don't, it will not be as good a year as 2013, and that would be a shame, because the opportunity is there.
Well, and Neal, we thank you for the explanation of how we can make sure that we have a great
so go to work, boys.
That's right. We'll hit the phones this afternoon.
We'll be here. Thank you again, Neal, for being such a great expert and a contributor to our community. Education-wise, information-wise, and charity-wise, you're just a great human being and a great person to have in our.
All right, I'm blushing. Thanks, guys, and congratulations on the new digs. This is really great. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of success.
All right, great. Excellent. Thank you very much. We want to thank all of you for joining us every Thursday from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. We want to thank Mr. Joe Messina for helping us out, getting our nice digs all set up. Furman and George, Mrs. Shannon Falls, now our producer, Peter running the booth. Look at this. We got all these people to thank. This is
a
cool.
Team.
We got
what
a
concept.
Team. Go figure. And we want to, of course, thank our Cherry Creek team for just being the very best in the industry. In fact, you were voted very best in Santa Cruz, so thank you for being so great. And thank you, Gino. And make sure you join us every Thursday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.